Welcome to the show. That's right, the perps have an agenda. Not only do they want to drive you crazy, discredit you, maybe get you homeless, get you to lose your job, make you lose your mind. They want to entertain themselves. That's right. This is, it's kind of a freak show. And I'm not trying to feed into your psychosis. I'm not. And I've talked about that before in videos. I think one of them was the Truman effect. I'll have to make that video again. I erased that. But a lot of people are sent the message that everybody is watching them. Everybody knows their business. And along with some of the shame techniques and, personal information and street theater and gaslighting, people, are naturally vain. And when they think that they're being watched or they're, suspecting that people have put cameras in their house, which they sometimes they do that or whatever, then they move to self-scrutiny. And that's a dangerous place to be. There's really two options in that scenario. A lot of people will start to scrutinize themselves and they'll become very critical of themselves, and they'll just kind of tear themselves apart, right? The other direction that people go is they just don't care about anything. I knew a guy that he was out in Washington, and he was talking to me for a while, and, he got, tired of it. He started to, experience the effects of his harassment, and he started drinking malt liquor. He wasn't showering, wasn't shaving, smoking cigars, yelling out the window. He just assumed that everybody knew, And when he came out of it, he realized that a lot of the people, especially the people in his neighborhood, had no idea. Now they thought that he was some kind of, raving lunatic drunk. And, he just kind of helped him out. And that happens to a lot of people. Because when people are isolated, when they experience harassment, a lot of times they'll turn to substances to keep them company, to try to maintain their sanity. And a lot of people have addictions anyway. Drinking alcohol and stuff like that is very integrated into our society. And so a lot of times you're going to deal with that. And a lot of times the little harassment plan is going to involve pushing, the target and getting them to the point, where they're going to react. And if they've got addiction problems, that's going to be one of the areas that can be used heavily. I'm an alcoholic. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. It's been a long time since I've had a drink, thank God, but it would happen. And the people that are, spending their God-given time and resources ruining my life, they knew that if they pushed me, I would drink. And I'm not blaming anybody, even though they, as far as I'm concerned, the motive, goes to a lot of different things, but I got to take responsibility for that. But still, they would be used, and then, people are going to come around after you're dysfunctional and, your house is full of beer cans and everything, and you're just sitting there, and you don't dare say anything at that point, You can't say a word anyway. Nobody's going to really believe that you're the victim of some type of harassment conspiracy, let alone when you're, laying in a pile of, Michelob Ultra cans or something, and you haven't eaten or shaved in 2 weeks. But anyway, to get back to the point, people are discredited. They are harassed to the point where they become dysfunctional. And I think new targeted individuals and seasoned veterans, are kind of alike on this, because you can look at it, from two different angles. New targeted individuals are, sitting ducks because they're inexperienced. They're confused. They're taken off, everything is just a big surprise for them. They're trying to figure out what's going on. And the seasoned veterans are just worn out. They've been doing it too long. they get to the point where, everything is just kind of, basically wearing them down. Sorry about the audio problem on this. And the other substances that, some people find themselves dabbling in or even getting covertly drugged with, like crystal meth or something, can really add to, the dysfunctional effects. And some of them are long lasting. And I can't remember, I can't remember that part of the brain, and I can't remember the technical name for what I'm going to try and explain to you. You guys will get the picture, though. And it has to do with how people connect dots. It's kind of like being psychosomatic, but in other words, your brain is already wired to try to find significance in whatever you're dealing with. It's got to resolve whatever is going on and put meaning to it so that it can be dealt with, right? So if something happens to you, your brain is naturally wired to try to put some type of significance to it, and deal with it, put it in a compartmentalized, place in your brain and just kind of move on. We all have to move on, and, finding reasons for things that are going on, and, trying to, solve whatever stimuli is coming at you is natural, but that part of your brain is kind of on overdrive, depending on what kind of substances you're taking. So crystal meth, for example, people who are covertly drugged or people who are involved in substance abuse with it, their brain is basically accelerated. So they're literally going to connect dots that aren't there. They're going to see something random, and they're gonna put significance to it, and they're gonna correlate that and process that information to where it has something to do with them. And it's really bad. God, I wish I could remember the name of it. It literally has been technically, proven that it does that. And, along with all the other things that people have to deal with, it just really puts people into a real psychotic state of mind. I would recommend, if you are having a lot of problems, maybe feeling emotional, even, just finding yourself in situations where everything seems to be correlating around you, or maybe even if you're, having, a type of visual effect, to the point where you're wondering if maybe you're being covertly drugged, take a random drug test every now and again if that's happening to you. If you find yourself in that place where every time you turn a corner, there's something there that you are attributing significance to it. And I'm not saying that people can't be harassed that way, but it is a possibility. Some of the videos out there that I've watched, and you guys know what I'm talking about, nothing was there. The people that they were videoing, and maybe the aerial vehicles and stuff like that had nothing to do with them, literally. And I'm not saying that they didn't get attacked that way at one point. I'm not saying that people haven't been harassing them, but the videos, they were just regular people. The aerial vehicles, not all of them, but most of them, were just regular air traffic. And you got to know that a lot of those things, especially the helicopters, have to fly in a designated zone, by law. They've got to stay at a certain altitude, and they've got to stay in a certain flyway, or they're illegal when they're so. And a lot of people don't know that. You got to check the location where you're at, and I think you guys know what I'm getting at. I'm not saying that can't happen, but if every time you turn a corner or see an aerial vehicle, or see a red car and you think it's following you or something, you might want to check and see if, you've been getting dosed, because that can happen. With some of the videos out there, it makes you wonder. And if you're one of those people that have been dabbling into, methamphetamines or crystal meth or anything like that, or, maybe LSD or stuff, I don't know. I can't remember if I would imagine that ecstasy and stuff like that can be pretty damaging, but I haven't really looked into it. Some of those effects, especially with the meth, can last for years, to where your brain is going to be messing with you for a long time. But, that's just the way it is. That was kind of a tangent, so we'll get on something else. People are pushed into extremes because, they really don't know how to process the information. I've done it. You either get too concerned about what people think, or you just don't care at all. That's never good. You have to try to find a balance, okay? Because, you can't just throw everything off. There's things you gotta do, You can't just put on a Snuggie, a little, night outfit. So I saw this girl, I went on a delivery the other day, and she was wearing a little nightgown, walking around out in the alley, I'm like, my gosh, really? I mean, come on, so you gotta have some protocols, but at the same time, you gotta be, in a place where it's balanced, and getting people out of balance, getting people into areas of extremes, and, just basically out of sorts is part and parcel of the strategy of this. People become disheveled. Their, mental state is, just one where they either don't care or they're hypersensitive. And, you've got to find things to occupy your mind. You've got to have a prayer life. You've got to draw near to God. You have to have a realistic expectation about your situation. And, you got to try to find someone that you can connect with. You got to get connected somehow to someone somewhere. And that's, a lot of times people will reach out online or, find some maybe chat room or something, like this channel. And people have suggested that we do, live chats or something. I don't know if that's going to work right now. It certainly wouldn't with my schedule. There's other people that are talking about it. And I don't know. I think it could be a menagerie. Later, if I get money and equipment, I would probably, do some type of a call-in or something. That would probably be a little bit more organized, to where, we could deal with one thing at a time. And I think that'd be interesting, like maybe a 2-hour program or something, where people could call in and ask questions, or just maybe even share their testimony and some of the things that they were dealing with. And I think that it would be a good, activity for people. But I just don't have the money, and I don't have enough subscribers right now anyway. But I'd say another 250 to 280 subscribers, and we're going to be doing probably a little bit more, hopefully. I'm dealing with a lot of stuff too, guys, so I'm not going to go into that because I'm not going to worry you, but I'm probably going to have to be relocating once again. But, getting back to the point, dealing with harassment realistically, having realistic expectations, having protocols, keeping yourself in balance, not getting too excited about anything, and just realizing that this is about time and pressure. It's going to, prevent them from getting you off kilter to the point where you're dysfunctional, disheveled, and turning into basically a freak, because that's what they want. Guys, be good to yourselves. Be safe.